Commander Alan Wright stood at the viewport of the Earth diplomatic vessel Pathfinder, staring at the vast emptiness of space. In just a few hours, they would make history. Humanity's first official contact with the Galactic Council was only moments away. "Commander, all systems are operating at peak efficiency," said Lieutenant Greg Howard from his station. "The diplomatic packages have been prepared according to the translation guidelines we received." Alan nodded, his blue eyes reflecting the distant stars. "Thank you, Lieutenant. Let's hope our new friends are as peaceful as their messages suggested." The Pathfinder wasn't a warship. It was a converted science vessel, hastily upgraded after humanity discovered faster-than-light travel just 18 months ago. The ship's sleek white hull carried no weapons beyond point defense systems meant for asteroid deflection. Dr. Olivia Martinez approached, her dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. As the ship's lead scientist, she had been instrumental in decoding the alien transmissions that led to this meeting. "Commander, I'm picking up some unusual energy readings," she said, her brow furrowed as she studied her tablet. "They don't match the signature patterns the Council provided." Alan frowned. Could it be interference from nearby stars? "I don't think so. These readings are structured, almost like..." The ship shuddered violently. Red warning lights flashed throughout the bridge as alarms blared. "We're under attack," shouted the tactical officer Ben Foster. "3 unknown vessels decloaking on our starboard side." Alan gripped the command rail as another blast rocked the ship. "Evasive maneuvers, full power to shields, open a channel, tell them we're a diplomatic vessel." The main screen flickered to life, revealing a creature with gray-scaled skin and 4 yellow eyes. Its mouth split into a wide grin, showing rows of needle-like teeth. "Greetings, newcomers," the alien said in roughly translated English. "I am Fleet Commander Kral of the Krivax Dominion. Your ship is now our property, and your crew will make excellent additions to our labor pools." Alan stood tall, despite the fear crawling up his spine. "We are representatives of Earth on a peaceful mission to meet the Galactic Council. Attack on a diplomatic vessel is a violation of..." The alien laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. "The Council's rules only protect member species human. You have no status, no rights, and no hope. The Council does not interfere with what they call natural development of primitive species like yours." Another blast hit the Pathfinder, stronger than before. The lights flickered and several consoles exploded in showers of sparks. "Shields at 12%, Ben reported, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead. "We can't take another hit like that." Alan's mind raced. This wasn't supposed to happen. The Council's messages had been so welcoming, so promising. "Where is the Council representative?" Alan demanded. "We were told to meet them at these coordinates." Commander Kral's grin widened. "Oh, there was never going to be a meeting. We intercepted those communications months ago. The Council doesn't even know you exist yet. By the time they learn of you, your planet will already be under our control." "Doctor," Martinez moved closer to Alan, speaking quietly. "Commander, we need to send a warning to Earth. They have to know what they're facing." Alan nodded slightly. Then louder, he said, "What do you want from us?" "The coordinates to your homeworld for a start," Kral replied. "Give them freely, and we'll ensure your crew receives privileged positions in our labor assignments." While keeping Kral talking, Alan signaled to Communications Officer Lisa Patel. She understood immediately, her fingers flying across her console as she prepared a burst transmission to Earth. "And if we refuse?" Alan asked, buying time. Kral's expression hardened. "Then we extract the information by less pleasant means. Your choice, Commander. You have 1 minute to decide." Another hit rocked the ship. The emergency lights failed, plunging the bridge into darkness before backup systems kicked in with a dim red glow. "Direct hit to our engine room," Ben reported, grimly. "We've lost propulsion and life support is failing. 6 confirmed casualties." Alan felt sick. 6 of his crew dead already. This was supposed to be a mission of peace, of hope. "Ready for transmission," Lisa whispered. "But it will give away our actions. They'll know what we're doing." "Send it," Alan ordered. "Full data package. Everything we know about these Krivax and a warning to Earth." Lisa nodded and pressed the final sequence. The ship's communication array pulsed once, sending the compressed data burst toward Earth. Almost immediately, another blast hit the Pathfinder. The deck plates buckled beneath Alan's feet, sending him crashing to the floor. "They've targeted our communication array," Ben called out. "Did the message get through?" Lisa checked her damaged console. "Transmission completed. Whether Earth received it?" She shook her head. "We can't know." Kral's face reappeared on the view screen, rage contorting his alien features. "A foolish decision, Commander. Now we do this the difficult way." The ship shuddered again, but this time it wasn't from weapons fire. A strange blue light enveloped the bridge. "They're using some kind of tractor beam," Dr. Martinez said, checking her instruments. "They're pulling us into their hold." Alan looked around at his crew, brave men and women who had volunteered for what should have been mankind's greatest moment of first contact. Now they faced slavery or worse. "All hands," he announced over the ship-wide comm. "Prepare to be boarded. Delete all sensitive data according to protocol. Remember your training." He turned to his officers. "We may be captured, but we're not defeated. Earth will know what happened here. They'll be ready." Dr. Martinez stepped closer. "The Krivax asked for our world's coordinates. They don't actually know where Earth is." Alan nodded, a small spark of hope igniting. "Then that's our advantage. We buy time. We resist. We survive." The blue light intensified as the Pathfinder was drawn into the massive hold of the Krivax vessel. Through the viewport, Alan could see other alien ships, their hulls marked with strange symbols and what appeared to be dried blood from various species. "Commander," Ben said quietly, standing beside him, "what do you think they'll do to us?" Alan placed a hand on the young officer's shoulder. "Whatever it is, we face it together, and we remember we're not just fighting for ourselves now. We're fighting for everyone back home who doesn't even know the danger that's coming." The lights on the bridge failed completely as the Krivax ships began to drain the Pathfinder's remaining power. In the darkness, Commander Alan Wright made a silent promise. Somehow he would make sure Earth survived this, and someday humanity would find its voice in this hostile galaxy, even if it had to roar to be heard. The emergency lights in the United Defense Command headquarters flashed red as Admiral Susan Reeves walked into the war room. Her gray-streaked hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and dark circles under her eyes showed she hadn't slept in days. 3 months had passed since the Pathfinder disappeared. "Play it again," she ordered, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. A technician nodded and pressed a button. A damaged audio file filled the room. "This is Commander Alan Wright of the EDV Pathfinder. We are under attack by hostile forces calling themselves the Krivax. They claim to be slavers operating outside Council jurisdiction. Earth is in danger. I repeat, Earth is in..." The message cut off in static. Faces around the table were grim. "We've analyzed the transmission trajectory," said Jack Daniels, a slim man with wire-rimmed glasses who served as Earth's chief intelligence officer. "Based on the signal degradation and trajectory, we can confirm it's authentic. The Pathfinder was attacked at the rendezvous coordinates." Susan placed both hands on the table. "And the Krivax? What do we know about them?" "Nothing concrete," Jack admitted. "But we've been tracking several objects moving through the outer solar system. They match no known orbital patterns." He tapped. A tablet and a holographic display showed several red dots moving toward Earth. "How many ships?" Susan asked. "At least 15, possibly more. They'll reach Earth in 5 days." The room fell silent. Earth had only recently developed faster-than-light travel. Their military spacecraft were few and barely tested. "What do we have to work with?" Susan asked. General Peter Lopez stood up. 7 military vessels with FTL capability. Another 12 that can operate in orbit but not beyond. We've been retrofitting civilian ships with weapon systems, but they're not built for combat." "And the experimental project?" Susan turned to a woman sitting quietly at the end of the table. Dr. Elaine Powell pushed her glasses up her nose. "The gravitational disruptor is still untested, Admiral. We might destroy ourselves along with the enemy." Susan nodded slowly. "Keep working on it. We need every advantage. She faced the room. Ladies and gentlemen, in 5 days, we face an enemy. With superior technology and numbers, they believe we'll be easy prey. Her voice hardened. Let's prove them wrong. The next 5 days were a blur of activity. Every resource on Earth was directed toward defense. Retired military personnel were called back to service. Civilian ships were retrofitted with makeshift weapons. In orbit, Earth's small fleet prepared for battle. On the bridge of the UDF Sentinel, Captain Steve Rogers watched the radar screen as the Krivax fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system. They're not even trying to hide their approach, he said to his first officer, Linda Bell. They're that confident. Linda nodded grimly. They should be. Their ships are twice as large as ours, and we don't know what weapons they have. But they don't know us, Steve replied. They don't know what humans do when cornered. The plan was simple but desperate. Earth's fleet would split into smaller groups, using the moon and nearby asteroids for cover. They would attack from multiple directions, hoping to confuse the enemy. Admiral Reeves's voice came over the comm system. All ships, this is Admiral Reeves. The enemy will reach Earth orbit in 1 hour. Remember your training and remember what we fight for. Earth is our home. It's the only one we have. In her laboratory on Earth, Dr. Powell made the final adjustments to her gravitational disruptor. The device was meant to alter gravity in a small area, potentially disabling enemy ships without destroying them, but it was untested and dangerous. Dr. Powell, a voice called from the doorway. It was Jack Daniels. It's time. Elaine nodded. The device is ready, but I need to warn the Admiral again. If this fails, it could create a gravitational singularity, a black hole. Jack's face was grim. At this point, that might be better than slavery. The first Krivax ship appeared in Earth's orbit, massive and threatening. Its hull was dark gray with strange red markings. Before long, the sky was filled with alien vessels. A message broadcast on all frequencies. People of Earth. I am Fleet, Commander Zarek of the Krivax Dominion. Your planet is now under our control. Surrender and you will live as our servants. Resist and you will be exterminated. Admiral Reeves didn't hesitate. All ships, execute Battle Plan Alpha. And may God help us all. Earth's fleet moved from their hiding places, small and outgunned but determined. The battle that followed was brutal and desperate. The Krivax ships fired energy weapons that cut through Earth vessels like paper. 3 human ships were destroyed in the first exchange. But the Earth fleet was faster and more maneuverable. They used the moon's gravity to slingshot around, attacking from unexpected angles. On the Sentinel, Captain Rogers watched as his weapons officer, Sam Green, fired a volley of missiles at a Krivax cruiser. Direct hit, Sam shouted, as explosions bloomed on the alien ship's surface, but their victory was short-lived. The damaged Krivax vessel turned and fired, striking the Sentinel's engine section. We've lost propulsion, Linda reported, her face lit by the red emergency lights. Life support is failing. Steve made a split-second decision. All hands abandon ship, set collision course with the closest enemy vessel. As escape pods launched from the Sentinel, the crippled ship accelerated toward the Krivax cruiser. The resulting explosion destroyed both vessels. Similar scenes played out across Earth's orbit. Human ships, outgunned but determined, fought with desperate courage. Some rammed their vessels into enemy ships when all else failed. From her command center, Admiral Reeves watched the battle unfold. Half of Earth's fleet was gone, but they had destroyed 4 Krivax ships. It wasn't enough. Admiral, Jack said urgently. Dr. Powell reports the gravitational disruptor is ready. Susan closed her eyes briefly. Tell her to proceed. The device was mounted on a small, unmanned craft that sped toward the center of the Krivax fleet. When it detonated, there was no explosion. Instead, a strange distortion appeared in space. The nearest Krivax ships were pulled toward it, their hulls crumpling under the immense gravitational forces. For one terrible moment, the distortion grew, threatening to become the black hole Dr. Powell had feared. Then, just as suddenly, it collapsed in on itself and vanished, taking 3 enemy ships with it. The remaining Krivax vessels began to retreat, clearly shocked by the unexpected weapon and the fierce resistance. As the alien fleet fled, a cheer went up from Earth's surviving ships. They had won, but at a terrible cost. Half of Earth's space fleet was destroyed. Thousands had died. In the aftermath, Admiral Reeves stood alone at a viewport, watching as recovery ships gathered the dead and wounded. "They'll be back," Jack said, joining her. "And next time they'll be ready for us." Susan nodded slowly. "Then we'll be readier. Analyze every piece of their technology we can salvage. Question the prisoners. Learn everything we can." She turned to face him, her expression resolute. "Earth just had its baptism by fire, Jack. Next time we'll be the ones bringing the flames." 6 months had passed since the Battle of Earth. The shipyards orbiting Mars hummed with activity as humans worked day and night to build their new fleet. No longer were they converting science vessels or retrofitting civilian ships. These were warships, designed for one purpose only. Captain Frank Miller stood on the bridge of the UDF Vengeance, Earth's first purpose-built warship. Unlike the white hulls of previous Earth vessels, the Vengeance was matte black with a single red stripe running its length, a design now standard across the fleet. The red represented the bloodshed in humanity's first contact with the stars. "Engineering reports all systems ready, Captain," said Lieutenant Kelly Barnes, his first officer. Her blonde hair was cut short in the new military style, and her blue eyes held a cold fire. She had lost her parents and younger brother when the Krivax bombed Chicago from orbit. Frank nodded. "Navigation. Set course for the coordinates extracted from the Krivax prisoners." "Course set, sir," replied the navigator, Ron Butler. "Estimated. Travel time to the Kythera system is 3 days at maximum FTL." Frank turned to the communications officer. "Signal the fleet. All ships prepare for departure." Through the viewport, Frank could see the other ships of his battle group, the Defiance, the Retribution, and 4 smaller Corvette-class vessels. All of them incorporated technology reverse-engineered from the damaged Krivax ships captured during the battle. Admiral Reeves appeared on the main screen. "Captain Miller, your orders are clear. Find the Krivax staging grounds, locate our captured people if possible, and gather intelligence on their operations. This is not primarily a rescue mission." "Understood, Admiral," Frank replied, though he knew every person aboard the fleet had joined partly in hope of rescuing the Pathfinder crew. "One more thing," Susan added. "We've received reports from the captured Krivax that suggest the Galactic Council may not be the benevolent organization we were led to believe. Proceed with caution if you encounter any Council vessels." The screen went dark, and Frank turned to his crew. "You heard the Admiral. Let's show these aliens what happens when you attack Earth." 3 days later, the human fleet emerged from FTL at the edge of the Kythera system. Scans showed a small planet orbiting a red dwarf star, with numerous ships in orbit. "Composition of the orbital vessels?" Frank asked. Lieutenant Barnes studied her console. "Mixed, sir. Some Krivax design, but at least 4 other configurations we don't recognize. The planet appears to have a large installation on the surface. Life signs?" "Thousands, sir. Multiple species based on the biological signatures." Frank's expression hardened. "A slave processing center." He made a quick decision. "Battle stations. All ships to combat formation Delta. We hit hard and fast." The human fleet accelerated toward the planet, weapons charged. The alien ships in orbit scrambled to respond, but they weren't expecting an attack. The first Krivax vessel exploded before it could raise shields. "Sir," Kelly called out, "I'm detecting human life signs on the planet's surface. At least 30 individuals." Frank felt a surge of hope. The Pathfinder had a crew of 42. "Maintain the attack. Prepare boarding parties." The battle was short but intense. The Vengeance tore through 2 enemy cruisers, its weapons far more powerful than anything Earth had fielded 6 months earlier. The other human ships performed equally well, disabling or destroying the orbital defenders. "Captain," the tactical officer reported, "we've secured orbit. Ground installation defenses are still active." Frank nodded. "Launch the dropships, Lieutenant Barnes. You have command of the ground assault." Kelly stood straighter. Yes, sir. 20 minutes later, Kelly led a team of 50 Marines through the corridors of the alien facility. The walls were stained with various colors of blood, not all of it red. They encountered resistance from Krivak's guards, but the element of surprise was on their side. Life signs strongest this way, said Sergeant Joe Wilson, checking his scanner. Lots of them. They reached a massive door that looked like it led to a holding area. Kelly placed breaching charges while her team took up positions. 3, 2, 1, breach! The door blew inward, and the Marines rushed through, weapons ready. What they found made them stop in shock. The room was enormous, filled with thousands of aliens of various species. They were chained together in long lines, sorted by size and type. The stench of unwashed bodies and fear filled the air. Secure the area, Kelly ordered, her voice tight with anger. Find the control systems for these restraints. As her team spread out, a tall, thin alien with pale blue skin approached her cautiously. You are humans? It asked in broken English. Kelly was surprised. Yes, we're from Earth. The alien nodded. We heard rumors. Species that fought Krivaks and won. It gestured to the other captives. First hope in many cycles. What's your name? Kelly asked. Jorak. My people are Teln. Few remain now. Krivaks took most. As they spoke, the Marines found and deactivated the restraint systems. The captives began to move about freely, many of them weeping or embracing each other. Kelly, a voice called out. She turned to see a human man pushing through the crowd. His uniform was tattered, and he was thin to the point of starvation, but she recognized the insignia of the Pathfinder. Lieutenant Howard? She asked, remembering the crew manifest she had studied. He nodded weakly. There are 15 of us left. The rest. He couldn't finish. Kelly activated her comm. Captain, we've found survivors from the Pathfinder, 15 of them, and thousands of other aliens being held as slaves. Frank's voice came through clearly. Get our people and as many of the aliens as can fit on the transports. We're downloading their database now. While the evacuation began, Jorak approached Kelly again. Council knows, he said simply. Kelly frowned. The Galactic Council knows about this? Jorak nodded. Council has policy. Non-interference with natural development, they call it. Even when development is slavery or death. That's insane, Kelly replied. How can they ignore this? Many Council species were once like Krivaks. They grew out of it. Think all species must find own way. His large eyes blinked slowly. Some Council members profit from slavery. Keep it secret. As the human ships broke orbit, their holds filled with rescued slaves of dozens of species, Frank Miller received an urgent message from Kelly. Captain, we need to speak in private about what I've learned, she said, her face grim on the screen. Later, in his quarters, Frank listened as Kelly and Jorak explained the reality of the Galactic Council, a bureaucratic organization that preached peace but allowed atrocities to occur under the doctrine of non-interference. There is resistance, Jorak explained. Species who fight against Council's blindness. I can help you find them. Frank looked at the alien thoughtfully. Then he made a decision that would change the course of human history. Tell me everything, he said. It's time we stopped reacting and started hunting. The starship Vengeance drifted silently through the asteroid field at the edge of the Krivak's home system. Its black hull with the distinctive red stripe was hard to spot against the darkness of space. 5 other human vessels followed in formation, their engines running at minimal power to avoid detection. On the bridge, Captain Frank Miller studied the tactical display showing the Krivak's homeworld. It was a harsh planet with 3 moons, surrounded by a defensive network of orbital platforms. Jorek's intelligence was accurate, he said. Their defenses are concentrated on the approach from the jump point. Lieutenant Kelly Barnes nodded. Coming in through the asteroid field was the right call, even if it took an extra week. For 2 months, the human fleet had been working with the resistance movement that Jorak had introduced them to. Made up of members from a dozen species, the resistance provided crucial intelligence about Krivak's operations and council politics. Scan. For human biosigns, Frank ordered. The science officer ran the scan, then looked up with excitement. Confirmed. 27 human life signs detected in the northern mining complex. Frank felt a surge of hope. 27 survivors from the Pathfinder, including possibly Commander Wright. But they had to move carefully. This wasn't just a slave planet. It was the Krivak's homeworld. Lieutenant Barnes, prepare your strike. Team, we go in fast and quiet. He turned to his communications officer. Signal the fleet. Execute Phase 1. 2 human corvettes broke formation and accelerated toward the far side of the planet. Their job was to create a distraction, making the Krivaks think the main attack was coming from that direction. Kelly assembled her team in the dropship bay. 50 Marines in advanced combat armor checked their weapons. Among them stood Jorak, and 3 other resistance fighters, each from a different species. Remember, Kelly told her team, our primary objective is to extract our people. Secondary objective is to gather intelligence. We are not here for revenge. Though she said the words, Kelly knew many of her Marines were thinking about the destruction the Krivaks had brought to Earth. She felt it too, the anger that had driven her since losing her family. The dropships launched as the corvettes began their attack, drawing Krivak's defenders to the wrong side of the planet. Kelly's team entered the atmosphere undetected, using the cover of a storm to mask their approach. They landed 2 miles from the mining complex and moved in on foot. The landscape was barren and rocky, with strange purple-leafed plants growing in the crevices. Security is lighter than expected, Sergeant Wilson observed as they approached the perimeter. Jorak's large eyes blinked. Most warriors are in space. Krivaks do not expect attack on homeworld. They breached the perimeter without raising alarms and moved deeper into the facility. The mining complex was massive, with huge pits where slaves labored to extract rare minerals from the planet's crust. Kelly spotted the humans working in the deepest pit. They wore tattered remains of Pathfinder uniforms, their bodies thin from hard labor and poor food. There, she whispered, pointing. Second level down. I see Commander Wright. The team moved quietly through the facility, disabling guards with silent weapons. When they reached the mining pit, Kelly approached the first group of human workers. A woman looked up, her face dirty and gaunt. It took Kelly a moment to recognize Dr. Olivia Martinez, the Pathfinder's science officer. We're from Earth, Kelly said quickly. We're here to take you home. Dr. Martinez stared in disbelief. Earth? But how? The Krivaks said Earth was conquered. They lied, Kelly replied with a grim smile. Earth fought back. Now we're taking the fight to them. As the Marines began freeing the prisoners, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. We've been spotted, Sergeant Wilson called out. Enemy forces converging on our position. Kelly helped Dr. Martinez to her feet. Can you walk? Yes, Martinez said, her voice stronger now. And I need to tell you something important. I've made discoveries while working here. The Krivaks aren't acting alone. Before she could explain further, plasma fire erupted from the upper levels. The Krivaks guards had arrived in force. Get the prisoners to the dropships, Kelly ordered. Defensive positions. The battle was fierce but brief. The human Marines, with their advanced armor and weapons, outmatched the Krivaks guards. But time was running out. Their distraction on the other side of the planet wouldn't hold the main Krivaks forces forever. As they fought their way back to the dropships, Commander Alan Wright approached Kelly. Despite months of captivity, he still carried himself with dignity. Lieutenant, he said, we need to access the central database before we leave. Dr. Martinez has discovered something critical. Kelly hesitated. Their extraction window was closing. What kind of discovery? The Krivaks are proxies, Dr. Martinez explained quickly. They're being controlled by a council member species called the Dorlathi. I've seen their representatives here. They use the Krivaks to do their dirty work while maintaining the appearance of following council law. Kelly made a quick decision. Sergeant Wilson, get the prisoners to the dropships. Commander Wright, Dr. Martinez, and I will make a detour to the control center. The 3 of them, along with 2 Marines, fought their way to the facility's control center. Inside, Dr. Martinez worked quickly at an alien console. I've been learning their systems while working here, she explained as her fingers flew across the strange interface. They don't watch the miners closely enough. After a tense minute, she removed a small data crystal from the console. Got it. All the evidence of the Dorlathi conspiracy. They raced back to the landing zone where the last dropship waited. As they boarded, Krivak's reinforcements appeared on the horizon. Take off, Kelly ordered. Now. The dropship lifted off just as enemy fire began to hit around them. They accelerated upward towards space and the waiting human fleet. But the situation had changed. 3 massive Krivak's battleships had arrived to join the fight. The Vengeance and the other human ships were engaged in a desperate battle. Captain, Kelly reported over the comm. We have the prisoners and critical intelligence, but we're cut off from rendezvous. Frank's voice came back tight with tension. We'll create an opening, stand by. The Vengeance executed a dangerous maneuver, diving between 2 Krivak's vessels and firing all weapons. One enemy ship exploded, and the other was crippled. But the Vengeance itself took heavy damage in the exchange. Path is clear, Frank said. Get our people home, Lieutenant. The dropships docked with the human vessels that could still achieve FTL speeds. The Vengeance and 2 other damaged ships provided covering fire as the rest of the fleet prepared. To jump. Captain, Kelly urged. We need to go. Now. Frank looked at his burning ship. The Vengeance won't make it, but we'll make sure you do. He turned to his remaining crew. Prepare for ramming speed. As the undamaged ships jumped away with the rescued prisoners, the Vengeance made one final, glorious charge into the heart of the Krivak's fleet. The explosion took out 2 more enemy vessels and scattered the rest. In the jump back to friendly, Space Commander Wright sat with Dr. Martinez and Kelly Barnes examining the stolen data. This changes everything, he said quietly. It's not just about the Krivaks anymore. It's about the entire council system. What do we do now? Kelly asked. Wright's eyes hardened with determination. We take this evidence straight to the council itself. It's time they faced what they've allowed to happen. The human fleet appeared at the edge of the Axiom system, home to the Galactic Council. 6 warships, their black hulls scarred from battle, engines glowing blue against the darkness of space. The distinctive red stripe on each vessel was now joined by streaks of other colors, the dried blood of a dozen species, both enemies and allies. Admiral Susan Reeves stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance, watching as the Council's defensive fleet moved to intercept them. Compared to the Krivak's warships they had faced, these vessels were sleek and elegant, clearly built more for show than battle. They're hailing us, Admiral, said the communications officer. Susan nodded. Put them through. A hologram appeared, a tall, graceful alien with golden skin and 4 arms. Unidentified vessels, this is Security Commander Trelnor of the Galactic Council. You are in restricted space. Identify yourselves immediately or face destruction. Susan stepped forward. I am Admiral Susan Reeves of Earth. We have come to address the Council on urgent matters concerning the safety of multiple species. The alien's expression shifted to one of confusion. Earth? We have no record of your world joining the Council. You have no authorization to approach Axiom Prime. We're not asking permission, Susan replied calmly. We're giving you a choice. Either allow us to present our case to the full Council, or we will share our evidence with every ship in this system. The choice is yours. Before the commander could respond, Commander Alan Wright stepped forward. His body was still thin from captivity, but his eyes burned with purpose. Commander Trelnor, I am Commander Alan Wright of the Earth diplomatic vessel Pathfinder. I was captured by the Krivak slavers on my way to meet council representatives. My crew was enslaved. Some were killed. The alien's eyes widened. This is most irregular. Wait one moment. The hologram disappeared. Susan turned to Alan. Will this work? It has to, he replied. If they fire on us, we've lost everything. On the other council ships, captains and crews watched the human vessels with growing unease. These were not the clean, pristine ships of council members. These were battle-worn, covered in scars and what appeared to be blood. The images were spreading through the fleet, along with the humans' claims. The hologram reappeared. "The Council has agreed to hear your case," Commander Trelnor said reluctantly. "You may approach the Council station. One ship only. The rest must remain at the current position." Susan nodded. "Agreed." 2 hours later, Susan Reeves, Alan Wright, Dr. Olivia Martinez, and Lieutenant Kelly Barnes stood in the enormous council chamber. Around them, rising in tiered seats, were representatives of over 200 species, the governing body of the Galactic Council. The chamber was a marvel of alien architecture, with soaring crystal arches and gravity-defying platforms. But Susan had no time to admire it. Her focus was on the 7 primary council members who sat on the highest tier. "You claim to have evidence of violations of council law," said the chairperson, a jellyfish-like being floating in a transparent sphere. "Present it now." Susan stepped forward. "Members of the council, my name is Admiral Susan Reeves of Earth. 6 months ago, our first diplomatic mission to meet with the council was intercepted and attacked by Krivak slavers." She gestured to Alan and the others. "Our people were enslaved. When the Krivaks attacked Earth directly, we fought back. In the process, we discovered something disturbing. The Krivaks are not acting alone." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Susan nodded to Dr. Martinez, who activated a holographic display. Images appeared in the center of the chamber. Krivaks, ships meeting with sleek vessels of obvious council design. Documents showing transactions. Videos of elegant aliens with silvery skin directing Krivak's soldiers. "The Dorlathi," Dr. Martinez explained, "a full member of this council, have been using the Krivaks as proxies for their slave trade operations for decades. They provide technology, intelligence, and protection while maintaining the appearance of following council law." A tall, silver-skinned alien rose from the primary council seats. "This is absurd. These primitives bring doctored images and expect us to believe." "We bring more than images," Susan interrupted. She turned and signaled to the chamber entrance. The doors opened and a procession entered. Dozens of aliens of various species, all former slaves rescued from Krivak's facilities. At their head walked Zorak, his blue skin contrasting with the formal council attire he now wore. "I am Zorak of the Teln," he announced. "My species was nearly exterminated by the Krivaks 20 cycles ago. We tried to petition the council for help, but our pleas were rejected under the non-interference doctrine." He pointed at the silver-skinned Dorlathi. "Councillor Venkar personally denied our petition. 3 months later, Dorlathi mining corporations began operations on our homeworld, harvesting resources while the few surviving Telon were sold into slavery." Chaos erupted in the chamber as representatives shouted questions and accusations. The chairperson was forced to activate a sonic dampening field to restore order. "These are serious accusations," the chairperson said once quiet returned. "Do you have proof beyond testimony?" Susan smiled grimly. "We have financial records, communication logs, and genetic samples from mixed-species labor camps. But most importantly, we have something the council seems to have forgotten: the will to act on what we know is right." She looked around the, chamber. "Your non-interference policy has become an excuse for inaction in the face of atrocity. You've become so afraid of imposing your values on others that you've abandoned the most fundamental value of all, protecting the innocent from those who would enslave or destroy them." To Susan's surprise, a reptilian alien rose from the mid-tier seats. "The humans speak truth. My people too have seen council inaction lead to suffering. We support Earth's accusations." One by one, other representatives stood. Species that had been silent for fear of reprisal found courage in humanity's bold stand. The Dorlathi councillor hissed in rage. "You primitives have no idea what forces you're meddling with. The council has maintained peace for millennia by not interfering in the natural development of species." "Is slavery natural development?" Kelly Barnes asked, stepping forward. "Is genocide? Where is the line, councillor? And who decided you should be the one to draw it?" The chairperson floated forward. "We will investigate these claims fully. In the meantime, all Dorlathi assets are frozen, and Councillor Venkar is suspended pending. That's not enough, Susan interrupted. We don't come here asking for membership in your council. We come demanding reform. The doctrine of non-interference must be replaced with a doctrine of protection. No sentient species should face extinction or enslavement while others stand by and watch. The chamber fell silent. Then, slowly, representatives began to rise to their feet. Not all, many remained seated, expressions troubled or angry, but enough. More than half the chamber stood in support. The chairperson was quiet for a long moment. Then, the council will convene a special session to consider reforms to our founding principles. Earth will be invited to participate as a special advisor. As they left the chamber, Alan Wright walked beside Susan. Do you think it will make a difference? Susan watched as representatives from dozens of species approached Zorak and the other former slaves, offering support and alliance. I think we've started something, she replied. Sometimes that's all humans need to do, show up and remind the universe that standing by isn't an option. Outside the council station, the human ships waited, their battle-scarred hulls and blood-streaked markings a stark contrast to the pristine council vessels. But as news of the session spread, something strange began to happen. Council ships began to add red stripes to their own hulls, a symbol of their commitment to stand and fight rather than stand aside. Humanity had shown up with blood-splattered ships and changed the course of galactic history.